Hi, and welcome to our lesson on math literacy and global citizenship. In this lecture, we will address the overarching concepts of math literacy and how they connect to global citizenship. We will begin by defining math literacy. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, mathematical literacy is the capability to understand how math functions in the world and, in turn, to use this understanding to make decisions and live a purposeful and complete life. This also involves numerical literacy, which is the ability to complete arithmetic either in seclusion or as a part of sequential reasoning. Mathematical literacy assists individuals in being able to recognize the role that mathematics plays in the world and how it supports our ability to make well-founded judgments and decisions in order to be constructive, engaged, and reflective citizens. To reach math literacy, students need both basic and advanced math skills. Along with an understanding of the basic math skills, it's important to teach students high-level concepts with an emphasis on practical application. With STEM fields and careers on the rise, students should understand how their math abilities can translate into careers if they pursue these interests. To have mathematical literacy, a student must have skills in the following areas. Mathematical thinking and reasoning. The student should be able to ask and answer math-related questions. Mathematical argumentation, to understand proofs, chains of arguments, heuristics, and create and express mathematical arguments. Mathematical communication. Our students need the ability to understand and express mathematical knowledge. Problem posing and solving. This is the ability to create and solve mathematical problems. They must also have an understanding of symbols, how to use mathematical language. And mathematical literacy includes a solid understanding of tools and technology. That includes the ability to use math-related tools and technology in purposeful ways. Oxfam defines a global citizen as someone who is aware of the wider world and has a sense of their own role as a world citizen, someone who respects and values diversity, one who has an understanding of how the world works and is passionately committed to social justice, someone who participates in the community at a range of levels, works with others to make the world a more equitable and sustainable place, and takes responsibility for their actions. Now, those are some very lofty ideas and concepts, and some are even rather idealistic. But reflect upon your own beliefs and your own teaching practices and think, how might these connect at a classroom level? Global citizenship provides real-life contexts that engage learners' curiosity and make them want to use math to explore patterns and to formulate ideas about the world. The motivation for mathematical learning often hinges on its application. Math can and should be used as a tool to promote student character strengths as well as academic excellence. Using the 4 C's to engage students is imperative. This does not mean to abandon the 3 R's, but rather add the essential skills: critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. Simply stated, America's system of education was built for an economy and a society that no longer exists. In the manufacturing and agrarian economies that were 50 years ago, it was enough to master the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. However, if today's students want to compete in a global society, they must also be proficient communicators, creators, critical thinkers, and collaborators. The inclusion of the mathematical practice standards is an outward sign that simply acquiring the necessary content knowledge is no longer sufficient for our K-12 learners to achieve mathematical proficiency. Rather, strengths of character are necessary in the effective engagement of the 8 practice standards. Successful achievement of these practice standards will require the intentional development of attitudes and behaviors that have historically been called character or virtues. In order to help U.S. students compete in the global marketplace, we must rethink math in a global context. This includes both content as well as approaches to instruction and assessment, including systemic change. According to Lacona and Davidson, both historically and universally, education has encompassed two primary goals: help students become smart and help them become good. This sounds overly simplified, but it truly summarizes the focus of formal education. Schools are designed to shape students' social, emotional, and ethical lives as well as their intellectual development. This character and academic development begins at the earliest stages with the primary teacher. Students learn so much of their character traits in their early childhood years, from ethics to perseverance, to personal pride and collective goal setting. The early childhood educator is arguably the first and best formal teacher of these skills. As you reflect on what constitutes a high-quality math program, please remember to view the teacher, the learner, and the act of learning holistically. Citizenry and math literacy are intricately connected and should be approached as such.